أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Right, this is your first lesson of the 5-lesson induction class or the prep class for the level 4 program, which inshallah we intend to begin next month in about 5 weeks' time. Most of you will have completed our level 3. Some of you who are currently on our level 2 or have completed level 2 but have not gone on to level 3 will also be here to get a glimpse of what's coming up in level 4. Is there anybody here who has not done Arabic with Arabica before? So for example, if you've done Arabic elsewhere, or you're one of our previous students from Ibn Jabal and you've learned Arabic with us in the grammar method. Anybody here, please announce yourself and just let me know who you are. Anybody here? No? So you're all Arabica students. Is there anybody here who has done Arabic elsewhere? Please unmute yourself and begin speaking rather than put your hands up. It's quite difficult for me to track who's got their hands up. So Shahida, you put your hand up. Are you coming in as a student who studied Arabic elsewhere? Shahida, are you there?
Yeah, I'm just learning at my local mosque, so I've done a bit of nahu, a bit of sarf, so I just want to have a sneak peek at what you teach at Arabica.
Right, okay, good. That's fine. So what I'll do is I'll start off by giving a brief introduction to our method for your benefit and the benefit of those others who are new, and then also give you a glimpse of what we've done in level 1, 2, and 3, and then explain how that's going to then progress into level 4, 5, and 6, and then give you a glimpse of what we're going to do in that as well. Is there anybody else apart from Shahida who's a new student who has not done Arabic with Arabica using what we call the matrix method?
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I haven't done that. I've studied Arabic in other places and other sort of schemes and initiatives, but not with Arabica or their method.
Right, okay. All right, good. And what have you done before?
So on off here and there, but the one that I focused on mostly, or the two, are the Arabic. I think Mufti Yusuf Mullah.
Right, you're breaking up a bit. Hello? I think we've lost you. Okay, is there anybody else? No? Okay, I think I more or less recognize all of the other names. Right, so I think it's just Khadija today and Abul Hasanat, who are new students who have not done the Arabica method before. Right, so what I'll do for their benefit is quickly introduce our method of teaching Arabic. Now, a brief background, I've been teaching Arabic for about 20 years, and over the last 20 years, well, about 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, I set up an Arabic language institute called Ibn Jabal, and I created a teaching method which we called Arabica, and that was essentially a grammar-based teaching method where we would teach rules and teach vocabulary. So we essentially taught nahu and sarf, but we taught in the English medium, so explained things in English, and then we would give you vocabulary list, you'd learn the words, and then you would construct sentences, mainly in writing, not so much in speaking, mainly in writing, in Arabic, and also translate from Arabic into English. Now what we found with that method was, and I actually learned Arabic myself through that method, and what we found is that it takes a very, very long time for those rules to really percolate and sink into our system, and then for us to be able to use them to instantiate the language, to write the language, to speak the language, to listen and understand the language, and so on. And so what we found is it gives students a skills deficit. There's a skills deficit, so there's a lot of knowledge and a skills deficit. And what I found is I had so much information in my head that I found it very, very difficult to use that information to then be able to speak the language. So I've been looking for a method to enable students to quite quickly speak Arabic, and speak Arabic with correct grammar. So not just to speak Arabic and drop all the endings, but to speak Arabic with the right words in the right word order, which we call syntax. In Arabic, we call that tarkeeb, or the construction of a sentence or a phrase. And also to speak with the correct inflections or the endings. And that's something that's the Arabic that is different in Arabic, different to English, because in Arabic you have to say the word endings to reflect or to indicate what that word is doing in the sentence. So you might have baytun, baytan, baytin. In the Quran you'll have Allahu, Allaha, Allahi, for example. You have 3 vowel endings for the words. And getting all the inflections right, and that in Arabic is called i'rab. So Arabic grammar essentially has 2 layers. One is the syntax, and the other is the inflection. And that's why grammar is quite hard to instantiate and use as you're speaking and going along. So we wanted to find a method to enable students to do that intuitively. And that's been a search that I've been on for about almost 20 years. And about last year, after lots of thinking and trial and error, we came up with a method called the matrix method, which actually allows you to do that. And we have students who, within 1 or 2 or 3 lessons, are standing up at the front of the class, having conversations with what they know in Arabic for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then as we develop, that gets longer and longer. Now, I get many students who say that they're not so interested in speaking Arabic. They're much more interested in reading Arabic, and essentially they're interested in being able to read Arabic to understand the Quran, which is fine. That's fair enough. However, what I found is in order to really experience reading Arabic and fully understanding the language, one needs to develop all 4 language skills in parallel, because the Quran is actually a living, breathing tradition. The word Quran itself means a recitation. And many of us think that the Quran means to read, as in to pick up a book or the Mus'haf, to read it, and that's Quran. But actually, when the word Quran was used by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and the Sahaba, they didn't visualize Quran in the same way that we visualize the word Quran. The word Quran to them meant to recite from memory, because most of them couldn't read, including the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. He could not read. He was not able to read or write. So when he said Quran, well, when he was reciting the Quran, he was not reading it. He was reciting it from memory. Secondly, there is the concept of bayan, which means speech. And Allah talks about bayan in the Quran. In the Quran, Allah says, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Ar-Rahman, the Merciful, Allama al-Quran." He taught recitation. So he taught us to recite, and in this case, essentially, primarily to recite from memory, not to read from a piece of paper or from something visual. خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانِ, he created man. عَلَّمَهُ الْبَيَانِ. This is the next thing Allah says. He created man and he taught him speech. So why is speech so important to the Quran? The speech is mentioned 1 verse after. So you have عَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنِ خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانِ عَلَّمَهُ الْبَيَانِ. Allah taught the Quran and he taught man to speak. And the reason for this can be found 2 verses later, where Allah says, وَوَضَعَ الْمِيزَانِ, and he placed the balance. He placed the balance, because in everything there is a balance. And if anything is imbalanced, then it doesn't give you the desired effect. And what I've found from my experience of teaching Arabic for 20 years is if you have an imbalance in your language skills, so that you don't speak, for example, but you can just read and understand, and perhaps also write Arabic sentences. You can compose in Arabic. Then it takes a long time for you to then strengthen your language skills overall and your comprehension skills. And those students who also learn how to speak Arabic, their ability to comprehend Arabic and therefore comprehend the Quran when they hear it and read it is quickened and enhanced. That's been my experience, which is why we teach students from day one now. We've overhauled our method. We teach them to speak Arabic. I'm going to explain to you how we do that. We've got a method called the matrix method, which we're now employing across all our programs, and which I think is a global game changer. Once this is published and goes out as a language learning system, it's a unique new system, it will change the way not only how Arabic is taught, but how languages generally are taught and can be taught across the world. I'm going to give you a glimpse of that in a moment. Now, the other thing to remember is, if you know how to speak Arabic, so if you can speak Arabic, you can just stand up and in the heat of the moment, you can compose an Arabic sentence with the words in the right order, pronounced correctly, and with all the endings pronounced correctly, then essentially you know Arabic grammar, because that's what Arabic grammar allows you to do. If you can do that, you know Arabic grammar. Whether or not you can articulate the rules as abstract rules or academic rules, you do know Arabic grammar practically. And if you know Arabic grammar, then, and you're able to speak the language, the skill of speaking translates quite easily into being able to read and understand, or listen and understand. Because if you can speak the language, if you can speak a sentence, all you need to do is then write it down on a piece of paper, so long as you know how to spell. But if you know how to write the language, or you know how to read and understand the language, those skills, writing, reading, and listening, they do not translate into speaking. Speaking is a different ballgame. So that's why it makes sense to put effort into being able to speak, because speaking is a comprehensive skill. Speaking actually encapsulates all four skills. And that's something that we've realized through practice. Right, so what I'm going to do now is, before I go on to explain what we do in the level 4, I'm going to give a brief insight into what we do in levels 1, 2, and 3. In order to do that, I'm going to share my screen. So I'm going to open up our level 1 program and share my screen, and just briefly show you what the matrix method involves. Screen. Right, so you can see before you the first matrix that our students do in level 1. This is the very first lesson that somebody who knows nothing comes into. And here we have a box, and we have sentences going from right to left, where the student can just produce a sentence by doing that and then that. So students can go like that and produce a sentence from right to left. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalamu ya akhi. And then they learn how to welcome each other. Marhaban, marhaban bika, marhaban biki, marhaban bikum, marhaban marhaban bikum, ahlan bika, ahlan biki, ahlan bikum. And on the right we have ahlan wa sahlan as a greeting, and then we have some parting greetings, ma'as salamati and ila liqa'i. They also learn how to say ya akhi and ya ukhti. And that's all they do on lesson 1. So they can have a brief conversation where they come along, they greet each other, they welcome each other, they say, oh my brother, oh my sister, and then they part with parting greetings. So what we do next is, in matrix number 2, we add another layer to the conversation. So they'll say masmukal karimu or masmukil karimu. They can also ask about another person, masmuhul karimu, halismuka muhammadun aydan. So here what they've got is essentially sentences constructed, but not in a text. The sentences are constructed in a matrix, which allows the matrix to be quite dynamic. So they could choose to say ma here, and then masmukal karimu, then halismuka, and then choose Muhammadun or choose Abdullahi and so on. And then they've got some connectors at the end, like أيضا. And then they've got the answers. نعم أنا محمد or اسمي عبد الله or اسمي فاطمة, and so on. Or they can say لا أدري, I do not know. So by lesson 2, they can have a 2-layered conversation. By lesson 3, they've got something like كيف الحال or كيف حالك يا محمد or يا عبد الله. Those of you who've done some grammar before will notice instead of saying Ya Abdullahi, we're saying Ya Abdallahi. So the grammar is encapsulated, is enshrined in the matrix itself. And then you can ask a follow-up question, Hal anta bi khairin or Hal anti bi khairin? And then we have some responses, Naam, ana bi khairin or La, ana maridun or ana maridatun, alhamdulillahi, alhamdulillah ala kulli hal. Now what I'm going to do is skip to the end of level 1 and show you by 8 matrices the sort of conversation that students are able to produce, which they get to in about 8 to 10 lessons. So we do 8 matrices in level 1. That's about 10 2-hour lessons. This matrix number 6, min aina anta. I'm going to skip to the end and show you where we get to by the end of our level 1 program. By the end of our level 1 program, the sorts of dialogue that students are able to have is something like this. So I'll show you what matrix 8 looks like. So this is matrix number 8. أين تذهب الآن؟ أذهب إلى مسجد قريب أو أذهب إلى حديقة جميلة أو أذهب إلى مقهى صغير اسمه cafe. You can also do a noun sentence. إني ذاهب إلى المقهى المفضل لدي, my favorite cafe, or إني ذاهب إلى نادي الصحة, I'm going to the health club, and so on. All right, my screen seems to have frozen. I'm going to stop share and share again. Matrix 8. Here we are. Sorry about that. So here we have matrix number 8. So this is nearing the end of level 1. We've got a question like فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُ, where are you going? And then you've got أَذْهَبُ إِلَى, or you can do a noun sentence, إِنِّي ذَاهِبٌ إِلَى. And you've got various places you can go to on the left, which will come after إِلَى, so they're all in the majroor state. For those of you who've done Arabic grammar in Arabic, we call it majroor. On the program, we like to go directly to the grammar without fussing over grammatical terms. We'll introduce a lot of the Arabic grammatical terms in level 4, 5, and 6, but in level 1, 2, and 3, we simply call this down. So the preposition ila causes the noun, this ila causes the noun after it to go down, which is indicated by kasra. So we'll say ila suq al-qadimati, to the old market, suq being a feminine noun, as a feminine adjective. إلى مقهى صغير, to a small cafe, or إلى المقهى المفضل لدي, to my favorite cafe, إلى نادي الصحة, to the health club. And then at the bottom we've got a follow-up question, ولماذا تذهب إلى, why are you going? And then you've got an answer, لأنني بحاجة إلى, because I need to, or I need كتاب جديد, I need a new book, إلى الكلام معه, to speak with him. And our students obviously will by this point know how to change that to إلى الكلام معك, or إلى الكلام معها, or إلى الكلام معكم, and so on. Or إني بحاجة إلى كأس من القهوة, a cup of coffee, and so on. Now what that enables students to do is not only be able to write and understand a dialogue of the nature that I can now see on my screen, but also be able to stand up in front of the class and have a dialogue of that nature. So it's, where are you going now? Are you going to the university? Now I'm going to my favorite cafe, and then I'm going to the Grand Mosque. And why are you going to the cafe? Is your favorite cafe close to here? Yes, the cafe is close to here, and the masjid is close to the cafe. And I'm going to the cafe because I need a cup of coffee, and I'm going to the masjid because I need the mercy of my Lord. So as you can see, within 10 2-hour lessons, students are producing quite complex syntax using the matrices, and because it's so intuitive, there's very little thought process going on in the mind before producing this, because they learn the phrases and can effectively plug together words from the matrix to create syntax and sentences with all the endings done for you. And that's an English version of a similar dialogue. I'm going to now go to level 2 and just show you by the end of level 2. The reason why I'm doing this is we had a similar class on Sunday, and a lot of students wanted to know what level 1, 2, and 3 entail. So I'm going to spend about another 5 minutes just showing you the end of level 2 and the end of level 3. So here we have, by the end of level 2, we get to matrix 14. I'm going to bring up what we do, matrix 14. Share. Here we are. Right, so this is matrix number 14. So the students have now come to the end of level 2. They've had about 20 lessons, 19 lessons, 10 lessons in level 1, 10 lessons in level 2. So this is nearing the end of level 2. So they'll do matrix 14 in around lesson 18, 19. So we try to finish the material off before the last lesson. And here we've got ماذا تحب, and they learn the expression an, and then the mansub verb after an. Those of you who've done some grammar, in Arabic we call that the mansub verb. In our program up to level 3, we call it the verb after an goes up. Those of you who know some English grammar, this is called the subjunctive. That's the grammatical term. So ماذا تحب أن تفعل, what do you like to do? يوم الجمعة, and we learn that the word يوم is adverbial, so therefore it goes up. It's an adverb of time, so it goes up, or it's mansub in Arabic. So ماذا تحب أن تفعل يوم الجمعة, ماذا تحبين أن تفعلي, ماذا تحبون أن تفعلوا, and so on. And then you've got the same with ماذا تريد, تريدين, تريدون, تريدنا, and then we've got أحب, and so they can, in answer they can say أحب and then use the an, and then أفعل. So students learn how to work that out. But the matrix gives you أحبك, أحبه, or أحب محمدا الذي. They also learn the use of a subordinate clause using الذي, and the requirement that subordinate clause has a pronoun referring back to the antecedent subject, the subject of the previous sentence. So you'd say أحب محمدا الذي هو رسول الله. You'd need the huwa there because you need a pronoun in this sentence that goes back to the word Muhammad in the previous sentence. We also learn certain idiomatic expressions like أحبك في الله, I love you for the sake of Allah. أحبك من ضمير قلبي, I love you from the bottom of my heart. You can make that plural, من ضمائر قلوبنا, and so on. So that's matrix number 14. And then you have some answers. أحب فعل الخيرات, I like doing good deeds. And then you've got an adverb at the end, كثيرا. نحب ترك المنكرات, we like leaving bad deeds. أحب قراءة القرآن الكريم, I like reading the Quran. Now, we also learn in this matrix that instead of saying أحب قراءة القرآن, you can use an plus the verb أقرأ. So you can say أحب أن أقرأ. So the same expression can be delivered by saying أحب أن أقرأ القرآن, and the word al-Quran will go up there. And this is revision for those of you who finished level 2 and 3. The word al-Quran will go up there as the object of the verb أقرأ, and so it will therefore be mansub, or we say in our levels 1 to 3 it goes up. It's the object of the verb because it goes up. We also have other idiomatic expressions. We like to use a lot of idiomatic expressions because they're quite nice and easy to use. So we've got the expression بين حين وآخر, sometimes. We also earlier learnt to say sometimes as أحيانا, for example. We've got the word فقط here, only, and so on. And that up to matrix 14 allows you to produce a sentence like this in dialogue. So somebody could say, Ya Fatimatu, ماذا تحبين أن تفعلي يوم الجمعة? Oh Fatima, what do you like doing on Friday? And then Fatima can say, يوم الجمعة أحب الذهاب إلى المسجد الكبير. إلى المسجد الكبير. On Friday, I like going. Again, using الذهاب. Dhahab is a masdar. It's a verbal noun, and that could be replaced by أن أذهب. أحب أن أذهب إلى. But you can also use the verbal noun or the masdar الذهاب as the object of أحب. So we've got أحب الذهاب إلى المسجد الكبير لصلاة الجمعة, and here we've got an idafa structure for Jumu'ah prayer. ثم أحضر الدروس, and then I will attend the lessons في الجامعة, at university, بعد الصلاة, after prayer. So then Muhammad asks, وماذا تحبين أن تدرسي في الجامعة? What do you like studying at university? And she says, أحب الدراسات الشرعية, and this is an example of the sound feminine plural. Yeah, in Arabic we call this جمع المؤنث السالم. أحب الدراسات, the sound feminine plural, the plural that ends with an alif and a ta. It cannot go up. It cannot, when it's mansub, so when it wants to go up, it cannot take a fatha, so it takes a kasra instead. However, in terms of its status, it is grammatically up, it is grammatically mansub, and so the adjective goes up. So we say أحب الدراسات الشرعية, and we did other expressions like this, such as أحضر اجتماعات كثيرة. I am attending many meetings. أحضر اجتماعات كثيرة. Yeah, this is another example of that, but here it's definite. So we have أحب الدراسات الشرعية لأنني أحب قراءة القرآن الكريم إضافة إلى. So again, we use idiomatic expressions such as إضافة إلى in addition to قراءة الكتب العربية الشرعية, reading Arabic Sharia books or Shari books. وأنت ماذا تحب أن تقرأ? And you, what do you like to read? And then Muhammad says, يا للأسف. So again, that's another idiomatic expression. It's how you say unfortunately. يا للأسف الشديد, very unfortunately. لا أحب القراءة كثيرا. I don't like reading much. ولكنني أقرأ القرآن الكريم, but I read the Noble Quran دائما, always. وأحب فعل الخيرات وترك المنكرات. Right, so that's a brief example of the type of dialogue our students, by the end of level 2, are going up at the front of the class and being able to deliver by having thought about the script for the dialogue in advance and then delivering in front of the class without script. So they do unscripted delivery at the front of the class. And by this point, many of our students also start to do freestyle delivery. So they go up to the front of the class and they start having a conversation with another student based on what they know, and they have a completely unscripted dialogue. Now what we do in level 4, one of the key objectives of level 4 is to practice more and more unscripted dialogue. Now I'm going to go on to that in a moment, but before I do that, what I'll do is I'll quickly show you a few things by the end of level 3, so that you have a very good idea. And I think this is good revision. We're revising some of the key points for our existing students who finished level 2 and 3. I hope you're also finding this useful as key revision points. Right, so let me bring up level 3 matrices. So as you can see, those of you who are new, the matrix gives you an immense amount of power. And let me give you a quick example. If you have one matrix, one box, which is about half a page, and there's 5 columns and 5 rows. So altogether within this matrix, there are 5 times 5, 25 Arabic phrases or words. Only 25 words or phrases which you have to learn. Can you guess what the total number of unique sentence combinations you can produce from this matrix? Is there anybody here who's not, any of the newcomers, is anybody here who's not done a matrix method program with us? who can guess how many unique combinations you can produce from a 5 by 5 matrix? Any mathematicians here? Just unmute yourself and speak. All right, we've got 625.
60.
60. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Is it 5?
All right, let's work it out together. So 5 times 5 is 25. The first two columns give you 25 unique combinations. And the 25 times 5 is 125. The three columns give you 125 combinations. 125 times 5 is 625. So 4 columns gives you 625 unique combinations. 625 times 5 is more than 3,000. So 5 columns gives you more than 3,000 unique combinations. That's immensely powerful. For you to be able to visualize a matrix and be able to produce sentences dynamically, going up or down the matrix, and sometimes also switching the columns around. Now, if you factor in being able to switch the columns around, for example, you could put da'iman at the beginning, middle, or the end. Yeah. So if you can put that da'iman or the adverbs at the end, or kathiran, or ahyanan, or bayna hinin wa akhara, can put them at the beginning, middle, or the end, then actually you have tens of thousands of combinations, even from a one-page matrix. That is pretty phenomenal. It's amazing. And that's the power of the matrix that a static dialogue does not give you. Because on this program, we also give you static dialogues. Yeah. So after each matrix, we show you what's possible from the matrix by giving you a dialogue that looks like that. Now, most Arabic programs, they use dialogues or texts to teach. That's the main teaching tool. Now, the benefit of the dialogue is it's an example of a real dialogue, a real text, a real conversation. The shortfall or the weakness of the dialogue is that it's ossified, it's concretized and stuck in one place. The dialogue is only as much as the dialogue gives you. Whereas if you put the same content into a matrix that looks like that, then as a student you can go from there. So you could go so you could start there and go there and go there and go there, and then obviously here you'd have to go there because it's the feminine singular, and then go there. Yeah. So as you can see, the matrix in many situations allows you to be dynamic and go in different directions, and that's the power of the matrix. You don't have to stick to one thing. So let me give you an example of, say, matrix. That's 15. Then we have this is matrix 16. So matrix 16 is a very nice one. It's about telling directions. So we've got afwan, or samihni, or samihini, or udhran lil iz'aji. Again, as you can see, our expressions are always quite idiomatic, always based on idiomatic usage of the language as the Arabs speak. And then you've got kayfa adhabu ila, how do I go to, or kayfa tariqu ila. So we've got a verb sentence here, and we've got a noun sentence here. So we've got jumla fi'liya and a jumla ismiya straight after kayfa. So like kayfa, aina, and mata, and all the other interrogative nouns, in Arabic we call them asma'ul istifham, they can be followed by a verb sentence, a verb theme, or a noun sentence, a noun theme. We've got two examples there, and how you can say the same expression or meaning using a verb sentence or a noun sentence. And then you've got here maktabi siyahati, the tourist office, after ila, so it goes down, maktabi goes down. Here we've got aina ajidu, and then you've got qasra going up because it's the object of ajidu. Now if you bring this one, if you go from, our students learn through the matrix method that if you go from there, sorry about that, you go from there to there, then you've got to make a little change. You take the kasra off, put a fatha there to say aina ajidu maktabas siyahati, or kayfa ajidu. You could put the kayfa here, so you could cross the aina out and bring the kayfa down here. You see how dynamic it is. So you say kayfa ajidu maktabas siyahati jariyan, running. Yeah. or بالحافلة or بالقطار and so on. And then here you've got هل يوجد, is there, and after يوجد we have مرفوع because it's the نائب الفاعل, it's the subject effectively of the passive verb يوجد. So you say هل يوجد مركز. So if you say is there, is the king's palace there or nearby? So is the king's palace here? You say هل يوجد, you cross the fatha out and you bring that into default. We call the dhamma ending the default. You say هل يوجد قصر الملك هنا, is the king's palace here? Yeah. So this is matrix 16. This is the beginning of level 3. I'm going to take you to a bit further down into level 3 to show you what we do further down. Okay, so here we've got lan, matrix 17, lan. So we've learned an, and lan also makes a verb after it mansoob or makes it goes up. So we've got alan tahdura ad-darsa ghadan, will you not attend the lesson tomorrow? So we learn to use lan. And then here again we've got the expression al-ijtima'ati al-muhimmata. So the atun plural, remember, it's a sound phone in plural, it can't take a fatha. So when it wants to go up, when it wants to be mansoob, it goes down, but the adjective can go up. And the other thing is, because this is an irrational plural, we say in Arabic غير عاقل, the adjective must be feminine singular. Right? So that's learning lan. And then we've got answers for that. So lan أحضر or لا يمكن أن أحضر لأنني لست جاهزا. So we learn the different uses of laysa here, and that the khabar of laysa goes up, but in a very practical way. So I will not attend because I am not ready. لن أحضر لأنني لست جاهزا. And you can say لن يحضر لأنه ليس جاهزا. He will not attend because he is not ready. Or you can say لن أحضر لأنك لست جاهزا. I will not attend because you are not ready. So again, can you see how the matrix is a dynamic tool that allows you to be very, very flexible in your sentence structure and syntax? So this is around the middle of level 3. So I'll just show you this and then we'll move on. So we've got Muhammad saying, لِمَ لَن تَذْهَبِي مَعْنَا, why will you not go with us? لِإِجَازَةٍ, this for a holiday, for a break. هَذِهِ السَّنَةَ, this year. أَوْ, my noble sister. So it's a brother and sister. The sister's not going on holiday, and he's asking why. And she says, لِأَنَّنِي لِلْأَسَفِ أَنَا مَرِيضَةٌ جِدًّا فِي هَذِهِ الْأَيَّامِ, because unfortunately I'm very ill these days. And again, can you see, because the word ayyam, because ayyam is a non-human irrational plural, we have a feminine singular demonstrative pronoun pointing to it. فَلَا أَكُونُ قَادِرَةً عَلَى الْخُرُوجِ مِنَ الْمَدِينَةِ, so I will not be able to go out of the city. And then Muhammad says, لَا أَحْسِبُ هَذَا الْمَوْضُوعَ سَهْلًا لَكِ, I don't think this matter is easy for you. So he's trying to be empathetic. He's appreciating that she's very ill and it must be hard upon her. هَلْ تُرِيدِينَ شَيْئًا مِنِّي, yeah, being a gentleman, he's saying, do you want anything from me? أَنَا جَاهِزٌ لِفِعْلِ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ لَكِ مِنْ ضَمِيرِ قَلْبِي, I'm ready to do everything for you from the bottom of my heart. So can you see, by the middle of level 3, we have pretty complex syntax that's deliverable from the matrix. Now, what I'm going to do is do any of you have any questions, whether you've done our level 1, 2, and 3, or you're a newcomer? In fact, are there any other newcomers here apart from Shahida and Abul Hasanat? Any others who have not learned Arabic with us using the matrix method? Please unmute yourself and announce yourself. Tell me who you are. Anybody there? No? All right. What I'm going to do now is you should have all received a pack introducing some of the prep material for level 4. If you could all either open that up in front of you if you're on a computer, or I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see it on my screen. If you haven't received it, please communicate with Rupon and ask him to send it to you. Here we are. So that's the level 4 prep program. We have an introductory page where we explain the key new skills that we introduce into level 4, and this will be of interest to all of those who have done our levels 1, 2, and 3. Now, what we do in level 4 is we introduce well, essentially the same skills, but we introduce a new dimension to them. And I often get asked, what are the ingredients to success in Arabic? What are the ingredients to success in Arabic? And there are lots of different types of ingredients. There are moral ingredients and spiritual ingredients. There are material ingredients such as determination, hard work. But one thing I would say is, and I'm rolling my sleeves up, so you can see I've just rolled my sleeves up for special dramatic effect. And that is, you've got to roll your sleeves up for a long journey, if that's the sort of thing you do for a journey. I sometimes get students who come along to our summer intensives and say, if I do this summer intensive at the end of the summer, is that it? Is that enough? Can I speak Arabic like a bulbul? And I say, no, I think you're kidding yourself. I've been doing this for 20 years and I still learn something new almost every day about Arabic, because Arabic is a vast ocean. And what I often say is, learning Arabic, studying Arabic is like a marathon, not a sprint. So any of you, if you run a marathon, that's 26 miles. So imagine that's 26 years of your life. Imagine you're going to spend the next 26 years running the marathon of Arabic language. 26 years, each mile being a year. Would you start a marathon by running a sprint? If you sprint for 400 meters at the beginning of the marathon, you will not be able to finish the marathon. You'll kill yourself. And so it's very important from the beginning to create what we call long-term learning habits, long-term sustainable learning habits. SLH, LTSLH, long-term sustainable learning habits. And those habits must include parts that acquire knowledge. So you need to increase your knowledge on a steady basis. And you also need to increase your skills, because knowledge is not the same as skills. If any of you go out and learn the highway code, that doesn't mean you can drive a car. So many of us think if we go out and simply learn Arabic grammar, we can drive the Arabic car. It doesn't translate into being able to drive. But to be able to drive, you also need skills. And that's why on this program, and this is something that we do, and I think we emphasize much, much more than many other programs, we emphasize the importance of skills in addition to knowledge. So you've got to learn your grammar, but you've also got to learn your skills, learn the theory and also the practice. And those skills, they come along in your journey in different forms along different stages of your journey. So I'm going to say another thing now. I started by saying learning Arabic is like a marathon, not a sprint. And I'm going to say now that actually learning Arabic is kind of not like a marathon. It's more like a triathlon. What's a triathlon? You know what a triathlon is? All right, so a triathlon is actually a race in which there are multiple skills. So typically you'll do some cycling, some swimming, and some running. So you might swim for about 3 miles. Yeah. And so somebody might be really good at running and they've run a certain number of miles, and then they've got to swim, but they might not be so good at swimming. So they've got to, so it's still a skill, but they're not so good at the swimming. So they've got to work on swimming. And what we do in levels 1, 2, and 3 is we consider those entry-level courses. So the level 1, 2, and 3 that I just showed you, those are our entry-level courses. Those are to demonstrate that you're serious about this journey. Yeah, that you're willing to go the length and be serious about it. And once you've demonstrated that and proven that to us, then we'll ask you to join levels 4, 5, and 6. And levels 4, 5, and 6 are 3 levels. Each level is 15 lessons, and each lesson is about 2.5 hours. Yeah, in the weekend we do a 3-hour class. Usually the weekend classes are a bit bigger, and we try to run the class for about 3 hours. The two key transition skills that we introduce in level 4 are these. The first one is reading unvowelled text. So in level 1, 2, and 3, as you saw, all the text had all the harakat, all the tashkil, all the vowels were given to you for you to then learn and then internalize and then regurgitate and perform in front of the class, and also write. So for those of you who are new, each student writes a script, writes a written dialogue each lesson, which is marked by the teacher. So they get written feedback on written work every single lesson. So each lesson, the student will write their own dialogue, similar to the one that's in the course pack, but it's their own dialogue based on their knowledge, based on the matrices. And the teacher goes around the class at the beginning of the lesson. For the first half an hour, the teacher marks up everybody's script and tells them where their mistakes are. And they go away with a marked up script with the teacher's ink in red. Then they come up to the front of the class and they perform their dialogue. And then the teacher introduces the next matrix. And that's how we just keep sort of circling around and building each layer of the conversation through the matrices. But what we don't do in levels 1 to 3 is reading unvowelled text. And an unvowelled text looks a bit like this. Now this is a simple vowel text. This is voweled. It's very simple, and you recognize all of the phrases there. However, if I take the vowels away, it looks like that, which to the beginner student, or even actually in many respects, our level 3 students, some of their syntax is quite complex. They're not beginners. They're not absolute beginners. In many programs, they would be considered intermediate going on to advanced, which is why we call this the advanced program. However, to read an unvowelled text, we start you off with really easy unvowelled text, but we do quite quickly get onto harder unvowelled text. The examples I've given in this pack are the easy ones. So do not be fooled into thinking that the level 4 is easy. It is challenging, but we start you off on unvowelled text because reading unvowelled text is probably the most daunting milestone of your journey. Okay? Reading unvowelled text is probably the most daunting milestone of your journey. And so what we do is we get you to, we have a matrix, for example, like this. Again, this is a simple matrix, which we do at the beginning of level 4. Now that doesn't mean level 4 is going back to square one, but we start you off because we allow students onto level 4 who have not done our level 1 to 3. So their vocabulary knowledge might be different to the vocabulary knowledge of our level 1 to 3 students. So in level 4, we don't assume that you've learnt exactly the same vocabulary that we have in 1 to 3. And even if you have certain knowledge gaps and weaknesses in levels 1 to 3 and you're worried about that, that's fine, because we're going to fill those gaps with new vocabulary, but covering the same ground. Yeah. So if you're wondering whether you need to spend a bit more time revising levels 1 to 3, or if you're concerned that you haven't done our level 1 to 3, but you've done a significant amount of Arabic elsewhere, and whether or not this course is suitable for you, this course may still be suitable for you. I'm not saying it will be, and we might have to have a conversation about that. This may be suitable for you because we essentially start from ground up, but we assume that you're an advanced student and therefore the learning curve is steeper. It gets hard quite quickly. Yeah. So do not be fooled by the simpleness of the material here. Right, so here we've got Sabahul Khairi, good morning. That's a typical good morning greeting. And we've got Sabah al Khairi. Now, both are possible. And the difference between Sabahul Khairi and Sabah al Khairi is, if I say Sabahul Khairi, the meaning is Sabahuka Sabahul Khairi. Your morning is a morning of good. That's the meaning of it. It's like a prayer. Now, in Arabic, you pray sometimes using a noun sentence as though the prayer is already complete. Yeah. So when you say your morning is a good morning, you're saying, may your morning be a good morning. Yeah. That's how in Arabic you structure a prayer. Sometimes you use a noun sentence in the form of a noun sentence, but your meaning is one of talab, we say in Arabic, or dua. It's prayer. Whereas if you say Sabah al Khairi, the meaning is Arju laka Sabah al-khayri. I hope for you a morning of good. That's a verb sentence. And that's where you're hoping. That's why sabaha goes up, because it's the object. It's the maf'ulun bihi of an implied verb, which is arju. All right, the same for masa'ul khayri and masa'al khayri. Here we've got fursatun tayyibatun. That's the sort of thing you say to someone as you're leaving. Literally means a good opportunity. Yeah, I've translated it as good to meet you. And the meaning of this is hadihi fursatun tayyibatun li. This is a good opportunity for me. As in, to meet you is a good opportunity for me. So there's an implied hadihi before the expression fursatun tayyibatun. And again, it's a noun sentence. Hadihi fursatun. And then in response, you can say fursatun sa'idatun or ana sa'idun biliqa'ika. I am happy to meet you. And then we have tasharrafna and tasharrafna bika. And tasharrafna bika. Literally, that's a verb. We learn in level 4. We start learning the 12 verb forms. So in level 1 to 3, most of the verbs we learn are form 1 verbs, 3-letter verbs. We start learning 4-letter, 5-letter, 6-letter verbs in level 4 and 5. So in level 4, we'll learn that tasharrafna is what we call a form 5 verb. And you can see that there's an extra ta here, and the root is sharafa. Yeah, so from that root we have sharif, which means noble. In response, you say tasharrafna bika or ash-sharafu lana, yeah, which is a noun sentence. The honor is ours, the honor belongs to us. And then again we have here ma'a salamati or sallamaka Allahu. Sallama is a form 2 verb. We learn in level 2 what form 2 verbs are. Sallama yusallimu. And then we have fi amanillahi, which is a phrase where there's a verb implied. So it's astawdi'uka fi amanillahi. I leave you in the safety of God, or in the hands of God, in the care of God. So again, as you can see, this is a very simple beginner matrix. This matrix could even be the first matrix of our current level 1. However, we expect the students on the advanced program to do more with this, because what they will do, they will use these new phrases in addition to what they've learned before in their dialogues. And also we'll be teaching more new grammar here. So we'll be teaching, for example, implied subjects of a predicate. We'll be teaching implied subjects here, implied verb, the arju laka sabah al-khayri, for example, and new vocabulary, new phrases, and so on. Here we've got, again, a very simple phrase matrix, which again could be our 2nd or 3rd matrix in our current level 1, but this is the beginning of a level 4 matrix because it's introducing some new usage. So for example, here we've got mal jinsiyatu. So the word jinsiya we haven't learnt yet in our level 1 to 3. Jinsiya means nationality, or ma jinsiyatuka, jinsiyatuki, so on. And then we say ana misriyun, I'm Egyptian. We've got a dual noun here. We don't do the duals much. We have a few duals in level 1 to 3, but we start introducing the duals properly in level 4. So we've got nahnu misriyani, we are 2 Egyptians, or nahnu misriyatani, we are 2 Egyptians. And we've got this ya'un nasab. This occurs in some of the adjectives. For example, in level 3 we learn, or level 2 we learn dirasat shar'iyyatun, sharia studies, and that shar'i is produced by this ya'un nasab. We learn the ya'un nasab and its different applications in detail in level 4. Yeah. So those are what we'll do. So there are more matrices than this in the current level 1 program. Level 4 program. What we've done in this pack is taken some of the matrices from only the lesson 1 and 2. So the matrices you're seeing here in this prep pack are only from the induction classes of the level 4. Yeah, so we didn't want to overload you on this prep program. I'm going to show you some of the actual matrices from the level 4 and the 5 in a bit. But what we want you to be able to do now is develop the skill of being able to read this and put the endings in as you go along. So here you'd say kayfa haluka, because you know you're talking to Ali. Yeah, so when you start off, you got Qasim here and you got Ali here, so your mind will know that there's a discussion between 2 men. And so here you say kayfa halu And you will intuitively put a dhamma here at the end of halu, because you know, according to your rules of grammar, that any noun after kaifa will stay default. Yeah. So, for example, in matrix 15, which I showed you earlier from level 3, we had kaifa tariqu. How is the way? Kaifa tariqu. You would put a dhamma on at-tariqu if you put it after kaifa to say how is the way. Kaifa at-tariqu. So in the same way, you would say kaifa haluka. You've got to do that on your own. And that, even if you know it, isn't necessarily easy all the time. Yeah. So you'd have to say ana bi khairin walhamdu lillahi ana ismi qasimun. You need to put a tanween onto here. Say qasimun wa anta masmu. It's masmu, not masmaka or masmika. But in other situations, you might have to say bismika or ismaka in other situations. Yeah. So here you'd have to remember that you only put one dhamma, ya qasimu, whereas anasmi qasimun. Can you see that? You have to highlight it. There's my highlighter. So here, look at that. So you've got anasmi qasimun, but here you've got min ayna anta ya qasimu with one dhamma, because you remembered that after the ya, the tanween on a noun after the ya drops. Yeah. So as you can see, we're going to practice swimming with armbands initially. Practice getting you to put the endings in on very simple texts so that we know you've remembered your grammar and your rules from level 1 to 3. And then we'll start weaning you off the easy texts and going on to harder texts. So if we go further down now, so you got أنا سعودي تشرفنا بك من هذا وما جنسية and then again you remember there's the jinsiyya tuhu here because you've got a word after an interrogative noun, and like kaifa, any word after ma will be in default dhamma, will be marfu'. Again here you say هذا سليمان because you remember that the name Sulaiman is a diptote. وهو أردني, and here you will put a shadda with tanween. هو أردني. Yeah, and also there's a shadda on the noon. Okay, أردني. هو أردني. Yeah, فرصة طيبة, and so on. Now, that's the unvoweled reading. Yeah, so that's the first key skill that we'll be working on. That's new in level 4. And that's really exciting. I'm sure you're excited. You might be slightly apprehensive, but that's fine. We'll hold your hand through the process. So we'll be taking you through easy text first, and then developing that unvoweled reading skill onto harder text. Now, some of you might be wondering, why on earth do I need to read unvoweled text? The reason for that is the Quran is voweled. The Mus'haf of the Quran is always voweled, but all the other texts of the Islamic sciences, so tafsir, hadith, fiqh, aqidah, all of those disciplines and many others are all written in unvoweled text. Also, if you want access to just modern Islamic literature, so books written by modern scholars, those are all usually unvoweled. If you want access to journalese, media, news, those are also all unvoweled. So effectively, if you want to be an Arabist worth your salt, you need to be able to read unvoweled text. And trust you me, when I initially first time started reading unvoweled text, I found it really hard. Yeah, it was a bit like your first driving lesson on a manual car. When I had my first driving lesson on a manual car, at the end of it, I concluded that I think I will never be able to drive, even though the instructor did most of the driving. Yeah, but as you know, you get there, and it's all about practice. It's about skill. As I say, it's not what you know, it's what you can do with what you know. So we work heavily on reading unvoweled text, and this requires 3 key things. You need to know vocab. You need to know the word before you read it. Yeah, so for example, if I write this word, sorry, that's, all right, that. Many of you will immediately be able to read that as garden. In fact, you might even write that on your WhatsApp, because people nowadays WhatsApp and SMS using just consonants, taking out the vowels. If I do that, you'll easily be able to read that as gardener. If I do that, you'll read it as gardening. You see? So Arabic is essentially written in SMS without vowels. Now you can read words in English without vowels, so why can't you read them in Arabic? The reason why you can't is you don't know enough Arabic words. So one of the key knowledge building block on level 4, 5, and 6 is vocabulary. We expand your vocabulary to enable you to read more Arabic texts. So your knowledge of vocabulary is important to gain the skill of unvowelled text. Secondly, your ability to identify how to read the word from context. So essentially, you insert the grammar as you go along, especially when there are several possibilities. Yeah. Yeah, so if I write something like this, you might think that's gardening or grading. Gardening, can you see you could read that in English as gardening or grading? So if you saw that in an English text without vowels, you would probably work out from the context that it's gardening, not grading in this situation. You've got to be able to learn how to do that quickly in Arabic. Or somebody's also saying could also be guarding. Good, right? You've given me something more to say in my next lesson. So it could also be guarding. Do you see? So because these words are potentially open to interpretation, you've got to develop a quick eye for being able to tell what the word is saying in context. Yeah, that's a skill that comes with practice. It doesn't happen overnight. Thirdly, your ability to determine the word endings as you read, and that's a function of your knowledge of inflection or i'rab. It's a grammar. So you have to, as you're going along, work out what type of sentence this is. Is it the subject or the predicate? Is it subject or the khabar, mubtada or the khabar? If it's a verb sentence, is it the fa'il or the maf'ulun bihi, or is it an adverb? And accordingly put the word endings in as you go along. Right. I believe Maghrib will come in about 10 minutes, 7:45, unless I'm mistaken. What time is Maghrib today? Would you tell me? Let me check. Yeah, so there's about 10 more minutes left before Maghrib. So what we'll do is we'll carry on until around 10:02, maybe 5:02, so that we don't delay your Maghrib by more than 5-10 minutes, and then we'll end the lesson. So bear in mind, today is essentially an induction lesson. We'll start doing actual activities in the class involving you, the student, from next lesson, more so than today, right? The key second point that we need to focus on in level 4 is freestyle speaking. And I've spoken to Rupan as well, because on Sunday we spent the lesson, like today, mostly on the induction. We may add another class at the end of this to make sure you get 5 meaningful actual learning classes with content. Unless, of course, you're also keen to go and you just want to jump onto the actual level 4. So we can consult you on that further down the line. The second skill is freestyle speaking. And I use a technique that I call express semi-freestyle. Express semi-freestyle. Because what we find is if you say to 2 students, right, go up to the front of the class now and just talk, they often go to the front and they freeze. And you spend a long time trying to unfreeze them. Yeah, it's not like the game you used to play in the playground where you touch somebody and they stop freezing and they can run again. They actually freeze because the mind just go blank. They've got so much they could potentially say that they can't think of anything. So what we do is we go into class and you receive a matrix literally on the spot. So I'm going to show you an example of a matrix in level 5 that my level 5 students did last Sunday, right? I'll show you what we did. So, where are we? Just going to stop share and show you what we did. All right, 6A. Oh yeah. Share. Where is it gone? Oh, here we are. Right. So it's about students who've just finished their exams. So they say akhiran, at last, intaha. So we've got these form. This is form 8, and it's a form 8 weak verb. So we do a lot of these weak verbs, hollow verbs, doubled verbs in all the different forms in different contexts. So we don't just learn them theoretically. So some people can reel out these verbs. They can say intaha yantahi fahuwa muntahin, untuhiya yuntaha fahuwa muntahan, blah 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 blah. And they can churn out a drill, and that's all nice and good. That's a bit like being able to read the highway code from memory, yeah. But can you use a sentence? Can you use the word in a sentence in a meaningful way with the endings correct? That's the challenge. So the students will say something like أخيرا انتهى الامتحان or انتهت الامتحانات. And imtihanat here being a non-human plural has a feminine singular verb. Yeah. So the verb that refers to a non-human plural will be grammatically feminine singular. So the انتهت الامتحانات وبدأت العطلة, and the holiday has begun. Or you can say وبدأت بالفراغ. That's an idiomatic expression. I have begun my free time. بدأت بالفراغ. بدأت بالفراغ. And then you've got كنت أنتظرك. I was waiting for you. أنتظر is a form 8 regular verb. أنتظرك بفارغ الصبر, impatiently. Yeah, بفارغ الصبر again is an idiomatic expression. Those of you who are new, you can see we like to use all the good, nice phrases that the Arabs use. بفارغ الصبر. And you could say to somebody, أين أنت? In level 1 we learned أنا بانتظارك, I'm waiting for you. Here we'd learn أنتظرك بفارغ الصبر, with impatience. So they've got this with different uses of kana and the imperfect of أنتظر. And then they have هل فكرت, they've got a form 2 verb, هل فكرت كيف ستقضي. So in level 2 we learned قضيت العطلة, I spent the holiday. We learned the imperfect of that here, and it's a weak verb, so it's going to have certain anomalies. So for example, the feminine singular here, this one here, is identical to the feminine plural, تقضين and تقضين. Well, you've got to be able to use that intuitively on the spot and know that with this weak verb, these two are identical. So you're talking to one woman or a group of women, the word's the same. And then here we've got al-utlata shitwiyata, the winter holiday, for example. And so what we do is, and then we've got fil haqiqati ma qarrartu shay'an. In reality, I haven't decided anything. Fil haqiqati ma qarrartu. You could say qarrartu from qarrara, and then shay'an being the object, which we've learned before, meaning something. Now, what we did was we gave the students these matrices, and then we've got this 4th page here. So we've got sa'ata'allamu qiyadat as-sayyarati. I will learn how to drive a car. Li ahsula. Here we've got lamu ta'lil. We've got li an, kay, likay, and hatta. And these particles are sisters of an. They'll make the verb after them go up or mansub. So you've got li ahsula, in order to obtain ala rukhsati, a license, or li an aqra'a al-Quran al-Karima jayyidan, in order to read the Quran, the Noble Quran, well. So it's ata'allamu tajweeda, I will learn tajweed, kay, in order to aqra al-Quran al-Karima jayyidan. So they were given these 4 pages in the morning and given 20 minutes to come up with freestyle dialogues between them in pairs without writing. So there's no writing. They've got to come up with a 2 or 3 minute dialogue completely in Arabic using these 4 pages plus everything else they know, and then go up to the front of the class and perform it on the spot. That's called semi-express, semi-freestyle, quick, semi-freestyle. It's not complete freestyle because they're not completely going up and having no script. They're given 20 minutes to prepare so they can start sort of thinking about the themes or the content that they're going to talk about when they go up there. And then they go up there, but they haven't written the script, so they're not trying to remember something they've written. They're simply going with the flow. And that's how we transition you from completely scripted dialogue into semi-freestyle dialogue, and then eventually by level 6 into completely freestyle dialogue. The objective is by level 7, and this is very important, by level 7, we want to teach you completely in Arabic, no English in the class. And we want to be able to teach you the Islamic sciences, so things like tafsir and hadith, where the text is all in Arabic and it's unvowelled, and we speak Arabic, you speak Arabic. That's what level 4, 5, and 6 prepares you for. It's to prepare you to receive instruction in a classroom completely in Arabic, and to completely understand it, and to follow, and to ask your questions in Arabic. Yeah, we want Arabic to be natural and intuitive to you. That's what this whole program is designed. So if you go back to the skills at the beginning, that's why I've emphasized those 2 core skills. Now, as you can see, that's a level 5 matrix. It's not simple. There's some complex stuff in there. And even those of you who think, okay, I understand the grammar for that, my question is, can I pick the phone up to you and just talk to you in Arabic, and you can use all of that in answering my questions and ask me follow-up questions? Can you do that? So that's the question you need to ask yourself, not can I explain the grammar if somebody asks me what's the grammar for hey or hatta, yeah? Because that's theory. I want to know, do you have the skills to deliver that in a conversation? You're walking down the street, you meet an Arab chap. Can you use this in real context? That's the question. Right, now I'm going to go back to the prep program and to finish off the next 5 minutes. Where are we? Share. Here we are. So freestyle speaking, and we'll also be doing listening and writing as we normally do with everything else. Okay, right. The other thing we do is we have knowledge content. And knowledge is, again, people ask me, what are the ingredients to success in Arabic? And I would be amiss and derelict in my duty if I didn't say this. We must have a connection with Allah, because we don't teach ourselves, Allah teaches us. We only do certain actions, yeah? And we put the outcome, we take care of the process, but we delegate the outcome to Allah. So it's very important, and that's why in this program, each lesson we learn a dua. So here we've got Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a wa rizqan tayyiba wa amalan mutaqabbala. We say the dua at the beginning of the lesson, and then we build with each lesson a new dua, and we also have some vocabulary for each of these du'as. So you start building up your own repertoire. And these du'as also cross-fertilize with your knowledge of grammar and vocabulary, because there's grammar in here. You've got inni, as'alu, you recognize that as'alu is a verb, like adhabu or askunu, and then the ka means you. So as'aluka must mean I ask you. And then ilman must be the object of what I ask you. So it goes up, it's the maf'ulun bihi, so it's mansub, it goes up. And nafi'an must be an adjective of ilman, you see? So all of the grammar that you've learned, you can apply and revise using the du'as that we learn together in class. And it also gives us an intense spiritual experience and a way to begin the class with the right frame of mind and spirit. Secondly, we must have a connection with the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, because any du'a that we make, and this is from a Sahih Hadith, any du'a that we make in which we do not invoke salat upon the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is mawqoof. It stops in the heavens, and it does not go up to Allah until we say Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. And so what we've done is we've started integrating certain qasidas or Arabic poetry which can be sung into our program. So this is an example of a very famous qasida which is sung all across the Arab world, and it goes like this, and we're going to try to learn that. And also in the classes we bring in the dafs, and I've taken some daf lessons, so I'm an amateur daf player, not an expert yet, But we start playing the daf, and we also learn to play the daf, and we sing the qasidas together. Yeah, you can find this on YouTube if you look for it. If you Google search وَوَقَفْتُ عَلَى الْأَعْتَابِ, you Google search that bit, you will find that on YouTube. And it goes like this: Sallallahu ala Muhammad, Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, wa waqaftu ala al-a'tabi, wa bakaytu lahu bil babi, wa bi safhin duna itabi, qad jada Rasulullah. Yeah. And again, you can look at this and you can analyze this and see what you've got. Waqaftu here. This must be a perfect verb, fi'l madi. And you've got ala here, which brings this word down. So this word here must be a noun. You've got again bakaytu. That must be a verb. So that must mean I cried. Again, you've got a be here. That's a preposition, which brings the word after it down. So bil babi means at the door, or literally with the door, and so on. And again, this is experiential. And it brings our hearts into the right place, because the key ingredient of learning Arabic is to have a connection with Allah and to have a love for the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, who brought us this knowledge, and because of whom we are learning Arabic today. If it wasn't for the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and the Quran and Islam, then the Arabic language would have died a long time ago. Right. And finally, we need to learn language in different contexts. Why? Because if you only learn Arabic as an academic science for Quranic Arabic, which requires you to take a book off the shelf and sit down and read it, then the language is not living inside you. Whereas if you learn how to tell the time, book tickets, go on a holiday, have a conversation with your friend using Quranic Arabic, then you've brought Quranic ibara into your life. So if I say to you, if I meet you in the street and I say to you, فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ, so where are you going? And you say, نَحْنُ ذَاهِبُونَ إِلَى النَّادِي, all of those words, every single word that I said, where are you going? We're going to the gym. All of those words can be taken from the Quran. Yeah? Every single one of those words can be taken from expressions and words in the Quran. So when we bring the Quranic Arabic to life, and this is another unique feature of this program, people say, well, should I learn Quranic Arabic or spoken Arabic or modern standard Arabic? And we say, well, why don't you learn both together at the same time? So as you can see, what we teach is Fusha. It's based on classical Arabic, but it has everyday application. And that's the other beauty of it, which allows you to instantiate it in your life and learn the language in different contexts. Now, what I'll do is I'll quickly flick to some of the later matrices just to show you where we are going to go quite quickly. So here we've got so here we've got some question and answers about what's your address, what's your phone number, using numbers here. Here we simply introduce the simple isolated numbers, but very quickly we start introducing how to count in Arabic. And using numbers in Arabic is probably the hardest grammar that you will have to ever learn in Arabic language. We start teaching that to you from the first few lessons of level 4. And trust you me, I still make mistakes when using numbers today. When I'm speaking Arabic, I still make mistakes using numbers. So do not underestimate the challenge that numbers will give you. And that's another reason why we slightly slow down in level 4, because you have to do hard things like learning numbers. Those of you who do not know, I'm going to finish on this point. There is a rule for 1 and 2, another rule for 3 to 10, another rule for 11 and 12, another rule for 13 to 19, another rule for 20, 30, 40, 50, up to 90, another rule for 21 to 29, and 31 to 39, so on up to 99, another rule for 100, and another rule for 1,000. Right, very exciting, isn't it? But that's it. So we have to overcome some of those sort of bitsy, niggly bits of Arabic grammar that are important, because without numbers you can't tell the time, you can't change money, you can't ask someone how much this costs or how many loaves of bread to buy. You can't do everyday practical things. You can't talk about which verse number you're talking about in the Quran. You see, so number, and there are numbers in the Quran as well. Yeah. فَأَمَاتَهُ اللَّهُ مِئَةَ عَامٍ. Allah caused him to die for 100 years. And in Surah Al-Kahf, ثَلَاثَمِئَةٍ سِنِينَ وَازْدَادُوا تِسْعًا. 300 years plus 9. Okay, so there are numbers replete throughout the Quran. If you want to understand Quranic Arabic, you have to get to grips with your numbers. We do that in level 4. Right. We need to go because it's Maghrib time. I'm happy to come back after Maghrib if any of you would like to stay on. But if any of you can't, and you have a burning question, you can always 300 years in Shamsi. 300 years in Shamsi. 309 years in Qamari. Okay, sorry, somebody's explaining to me. Yes, of course. So when you say 309 years, this is in the lunar calendar, because that's the calendar, that's the Arabic calendar. So which amounts to an equivalent of 300 years in the solar calendar. Thank you very much, Brother Iqbal, for pointing that out. Right. If any of you have any questions, please communicate with Rupon. And if you have a question for me, you can pass that to me through Rupon. If you have any questions on onboarding or placing yourself, if you're a newcomer, where you'd like to be, whether you think you fit into level 1, 2, 3, or 4, or even 5 or 6, if you think you're in a higher level, we can have a discussion about that and help you to place yourself. So we don't have to do that now. So finally, your homework, which I'd like you to prepare for next week. Next week, I'm going to get you to work in the class with another person. But what I want you to do is prepare a dialogue based on so firstly, memorize the dua, Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a wa rizqan tayyiba wa amalan mutaqabbala, and the vocab. Memorize the first 3 lines of this qasida, which I sang to you today. If you simply Google this on YouTube, or you search this on YouTube, وَوَقَفْتُ عَلَى الْأَعْتَابِ, it will give you certain video clips where you can listen to people singing in tune. And then I want you, based on the matrices for level 1, so that page there, page 4, and page 5, I want you to prepare a short dialogue, or be prepared to use these expressions in dialogue. And I want you to practice reading this script on page 7 without vowels. You've got to put the vowels in as you go along. So what you can do is, if you print off page 6 and read it first, and then print page 7 and read it, and then check with page 6 whether you're getting the vowels right. That's how you check whether your vowels are correct as you go along. All right, and I'll get you in class without looking at page 5 to read some of the unvoweled text on page 6. Sorry, without looking at page 6 to read in class the unvoweled text on page 7. We'll also send you an email outlining what the homework is. And so next week, since you now know and understand what's expected of you, we'll do a lot more activity in the class. Is that okay? Right. Does anybody have a burning question they simply can't wait for? I can take one question before we close. Yes. So the normal lessons, at the moment we're planning them for 2 hours. I'm thinking they might need to be 2.5. So they'll start in the evening. So we've got, at the moment, we've got them scheduled for Tuesday from 6:30. So either be from 6:30 to 8:30 or 6:30 to 9. And there'll also be a blend. So some of the lessons will be online and some of them will be in class. And because we've actually got such a high demand for this class, we might have to run another one on a Thursday evening. So these 3 lessons are for 1.5 hours. So therefore from 6:30 to 8. Yeah. So these 5 induction lessons are from 6:30 to 8. I'm sure it was that not communicated to you on the email? I thought you had been told that these lessons are 1.5 hours. But because Maghrib is moving earlier, from next week we may have to take a break in the middle of the Maghrib. Yeah. This week we've managed to pray Maghrib on time. It ends at so it says it ends at at 8:30. Oh, it says it ends 6:30 to 8, so it says it's 2 hours. Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So what we'll do is let's take a break for Maghrib. Those of you who need to go, I've basically finished doing my bit. What we'll do is those of you who can stay, we will, and if you want to stay, you're all welcome to stay after Maghrib. So let's take a 10-minute break for Maghrib, and then we'll come back, and then we'll get you to do some actual activities in the class. Is that okay? Yeah. Everybody okay with that? All right. So I'm going to just I'm not going to close the meeting. You can leave the meeting open. We're going to go and pray Maghrib, and we're going to come back at 8:10. At 8:10, and we'll have 20 minutes to do some activities. All right. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Welcome back. Hope you're all back. What I propose to do now is break you into breakout groups and get you to produce some simple dialogues on matrices for lesson 1, which is this lesson, the 2 dialogues, the 2 pages that I showed you, and to bring in things that you've done from the past. Yeah, so to bring in these simple expressions from the dialogues for this lesson, and then to use anything that you've done from the past. And it needs to be quick, so I just want 1 sentence from each, so a question and an answer. Yeah, and that will enable us to hear from everybody. So what I'm going to do now is put you all into breakout groups. So there's about 24 of you, so that will need I'll put you into groups of 3. So that's about 6 of you, 6 groups. There we go. Groups 6, 7. Yeah, 7 groups. We'll have 7 groups, and here we go. So you're going to be transported now into a breakout group, and the buddies you have in that group, you need to work with them for, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. So each person is going to have only 1 line, and then we'll come back and we'll hear your dialogue. All right? Off you go. Assalamu alaikum. Abu Hasnat and Sister Shahida. Are you there? Assalamu alaikum. So Sister Shahida and Abu Hassanat, you should have received a prompt to enter a breakout room. Can you hear me? Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. I was in a breakout group and I think the sister got confused and left.
Which sister was in?
Zainab.
Zainab, right. So she's not here either. Has she actually completely gone?
I think she said it wasn't working on her laptop, so she was going to try on her phone.
All right. Which breakout room were you in?
I was just with her alone.
With?
Zainab.
Oh, right. I see. Okay. So let me just assign you to a different group. Hold on.
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum. Sister Khadija, you've just joined.
I was on a break and I came back late, sorry.
That's all right. So what we're doing is we've put you into breakout rooms. So you're working with another 2 or 3 people in the room. Create a dialogue based on the matrices for this lesson.
Okay.
Yeah, which I showed you earlier. So the very simple ones. So I'm going to assign both of you to another breakout room right now. So Khadija, I'm going to assign you now to breakout room 7. And Amina, now how do I assign you back? Amina. So Amina, you're actually in breakout room 7. So I can just assign you, well, I'll just put you in 3. There we go. Assalamu alaikum. Just waiting for everybody to come back, then we'll make a start.
Can I ask a quick question whilst people are rejoining?
Yeah.
In terms of going forward for the level 4, 5, and 6, do you anticipate that we will be doing that within this year?
Yes, absolutely. So level 4 will begin straight after these 5 sessions in October.
Okay. And in terms of when we finish, what proficiency do you feel that we will have on Arabic by that stage?
Now the thing is, you can have a program where students have gone through a year, 2 years, and they don't have good proficiency because they just haven't put the work in. Yeah. So on the assumption that you put the work in that we require of you for the duration of level 4, 5, and 6, by the end of it, you should be able to just stand up and hold up an Arabic conversation and just keep going. You should have enough vocabulary, enough grammar to be able to speak with Arab, speak with the endings and with correct syntax in pretty much any sort of context, including some sort of discussions relating to Islamic sciences. So in levels 6, nearing the end of that, we start preparing to teach Islamic sciences.
Okay. Thank you.
Right, sorry, what's your name?
My name's Abdul Qadir.
Abdul Qadir. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you one of our current students
In what do
in
you mean?
Arabica?
So I wasn't on the courses that were the week courses, but Ustadh Rupon sent me the podcasts, and I was going through the materials.
Right. Yes. I remember you now. Well, how far have you got now?
Alhamdulillah, I feel like I've covered the level 3. So I was initially went to your Ibn Jabal course a few years back, so I was just trying to. There's a bit of a mismatch, but I think I've tried to cover it up to level 3.
Right, excellent. Right, I think everybody's back now. So let's start off with breakout room number 1. We have Iqbal, Rima, and Shazid. So if you three could unmute yourselves and let's have your dialogue.
Okay. بسم الله. سلام عليكم يا أختي. مساء الخير.
مساء النور يا أخي.
تشرفت بك.
فرصة سيدة.
مع السلامة. إلى اللقاء.
مع السلامة.
All right, good stuff. You stuck to the matrix. Let's hear some of the others bring in some other stuff. So just simple stuff like أين تريدين أن تذهبي غدا? Where do you want to go tomorrow, for example? Yeah, something from level 2. كيف أذهب إلى جامعة لندن من هنا? How do I go to London University from here? Asking directions. ماذا تحب أن تقرأ من الدراسات الشرعية? What do you like reading of Islamic sciences? So just anything, just a simple sentence from the past, all right? So I think Brother Shazid is in that group. He hasn't participated. Are you one of our existing students?
I am.
Right, we didn't hear from you. Do you have a line?
I didn't have the matrix. I've just got the matrix now.
Okay. All right, that's fine. So let's hear from breakout room 2, where we have Aman, Yaqub, Ali, and Uzma. If you go.
Yeah, sure. Okay. صباح الخير يا إخواني وأختي. أنا سعيد بلقائكم. ومن أين أنتم؟
صباح النور. أنا من إنكلاسيا. وأنتِ يا أختي؟
وعليكم السلام. أنا سعيدة بلقائكم. أنا من تركي وأنا تركية. وأنت مشاهد، من أين أنت؟
I think this brother, his microphone isn't working, so he might be typing it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. If you guys carry on, because his microphone isn't working. So why don't somebody else respond for him? Okay. So he said, "I'm in Bangladesh." Okay. Yep, that's his answer. I'll do it. I'm in Bangladesh. Is that the end of the dialogue?
I guess we can freestyle. أنت من بنغلاديش. أنا من بنغلاديش أيضا.
Right. Can one of you say, "Do you like the weather in Bangladesh?"
هل تحب الجو في بنغلاديش؟
Good. How do you say هل تحب الجو? What's the ending?
هل تحب هل تحب الجو؟
Good, because it's the object of تحب. هل تحب الجو في بنغلاديش? How was the weather? Another one of you. So Yaqub, say, how was the weather in Bangladesh last year?
كيف الجو في بنغلاديش في سنة في السنة ماضية.
Okay, so you said كيف الجو. We wanted it in the past.
كيف كان جو.
Good. كيف كان الجو.
جو في بنغلاديش في سنة ماضية.
Good. So you said كيف كان الجو. Good. Well, good for changing it from الجو to الجو because it's the subject of كان, not the خبر. You say كيف كان الجو في بنغلاديش because it's a diptote. And then you're not saying in a last year, you're saying in the last year. So you say في السنة الماضية. Yeah?
Okay.
All right. Okay. And then let's have Uzma. Can you say the weather was amazing?
الجو طيبا.
الجو. Now, how to say was?
كان.
Good. الجو كان طيبا. Good, because it's the khabar of kana. Excellent. Well done, guys. Right, let's have breakout room number 3. All right, so Ali has said, أنا من بنغلاديش لكن أسكن في UK قبل عام, a year ago. So I think he means I lived in the UK a year ago. لكن كنت أسكن. You need to say كنت أسكن, or you mean you came to the UK a year ago. أتيت, you say أتيت إلى بريطانيا قبل عام, a year ago. Right, breakout room number 3, off you go. Where are you? Should we go? Abdurrahman and Nasrullah.
Sorry, I didn't realize it was number 3. Assalamu alaikum, Nasrullah. كيف حالك؟
وعليكم السلام يا أخي, كيف حالك؟
الحمد لله أنا بخير. أين تسكن الآن؟
أنا في سيارتي الآن.
في السيارة؟ هذا
أنا في سيارتي. أنا عم الآن أرجع إلى البيت من عملي.
ما شاء الله. أين بيتك؟
بيتك أنا أسكن في السيت أولدن. هذا بعيدا جدا من لندن. هو من نصف الساعة بالقطار. وأنت أين تسكن؟
أسكن في شرق لندن.
Abdurrahman, can you say I live in East London? Abdurrahman, can you say I live in East London, far from you?
أسكن في شرق لندن بعيدا عنك.
ممتاز.
بعيدا منك.
All right, خلاص, you done?
نعم.
All right, let's go to breakout room number 5. 4, sorry, 4. We have Munju, Nazli, and Shaheen. Off you go.
السلام
And
عليكم.
Zachary.
السلام عليكم نزلة، من أين أنت؟ وما جنسيتك؟
وعليكم السلام يا أختي، مساء الخير. أنا من باكستان أصلا، ولكن جنسيتي بريطانية.
الشرف بكنا.
أنا سعيد بلقائكم كلكم.
No, Nazli, would you say بلقائكم كلكم or كلكم? The kullu is replacing the kum, right? So أنا سعيد بلقائكم. So just take the kum away. If you said أنا سعيد بلقاء كلكم, you've got to stick to the ending of the kasra there. Yeah? So the kullu will agree with what it's emphasizing. So you say أنا سعيد بلقائكم كلكم. Yeah. Good syntax. All right, are you done? Manjud, do you have a line?
فرصة سعيدة.
ما شاء الله ممتاز.
إلى اللقاء في أمان الله.
إلى اللقاء. الشرف لنا. الشرف لنا. The honor is ours. All right, breakout room 5. Naima, Shakil, and Zainab. Naima, Shakil, Zainab, are you there?
No, I think there was someone else in the breakout room with us as well. Okay, he's not here. Sorry, I was on mute.
He's gone. He's had to leave.
Okay. Who was with us? Because I had some questions for Shakil. Who's left?
So we've got Naima, Shakil, and Zainab.
Assalamu alaikum. السلام عليكم يا أخي شكيل، كيف حالك؟ هل أنت بخير؟
وعليكم السلام يا أختي، نعم أنا بخير الحمد لله، وأنت؟
الحمد لله على كل حال. ما مهنتك؟ هل أنت طالب مجتهد في جامعة؟
لا، أنا طالب في المدرسة، ولكن أعلم هنالك أيضا.
الحمد لله. We have to fill in.
يا أختي هل ستهدفي الدرس القادم؟
Shakil, will you say الدرس or الدرسة?
الدرسة.
Good.
لا لا لن أحضر في الدرس القادم لأنني أكون forgot what I was going to say. لأنني
busy
مشغولة.
ممتاز. لأنني أكون مشغولة. ممتاز. That was a nice sentence. لن أحضر في الدرس القادم لأنني أكون مشغولة. ممتاز.
السلام عليكم يا أختي. يا نائمة، كيف كان أسبوعك؟ ليس أسبوعك مشغولا أيضا، أليس كذلك؟ بلى. I haven't started. That's it, Bilal. I'm trying to fit in for the guy that left, so that's not fair.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay.
Asking me all these questions.
That's cool. So she said your week was not busy too. Is that not so? And you said Bala. So why don't you say I did I did many things in my free time.
أفعل is it أفعل كثير
Yeah.
أفعل so I did many things. What did you say? Could you
Yeah.
أن تكررها please?
نعم يمكن أن أكرر. أفعل I do many things in my spare time.
Okay. أفعل many things كثيرا شيئا في وقت الفراغ.
Yeah, or put the شيئا first. شيئا كثيرا.
كثيرا في وقت الفراغ.
في وقت الفراغ. أفعل شيئا كثيرا في وقت الفراغ. Remember, the noun goes before the adjective, yeah?
Yeah.
Good. All right. I think we're done. Let's go to the next group. Let's have Abdul Noor, Rakeen, and Zainab.
السلام عليكم جميعا كيف حالكم؟
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. هل أنت بخير؟
والحمد لله أنا بخير الحمد لله.
الحمد لله. من أين أنت؟
الآن أنا في بريطانيا في مدينة برمنغهام. وأنت؟
أنا في لندن.
في أي مدينة؟
نعم إلى مدينة قريب من المسجد.
You mean أسكن قريبا من المسجد?
Yes, نعم.
I live close to the masjid, right?
Yes. من أين أنت يا زينب؟
أنا من نيجيريا. وأنت؟
أنا في نيجيريا أيضا. أنا من نيجيريا أيضا.
مع سلامتي.
مع السلامة إلى اللقاء. Right. Can one of you say something like, where are your parents from? Abdul Noor, can you say, where are your parents from?
من أين والدكم?
Good. So walid is father, walidatun is mother. So for two parents, you'd say min aina walidakuma. Yeah.
Yep.
And walida. Good. And in the mansub and the majroor position, in the up or the down position, walida becomes waliday. So you'd say min aina waliday. You'd say, for example, ma'a walidaykuma, with your parents. All right. So you say min aina walidakuma. So how would you say my parents are from Nigeria too? Zainab, my parents are from Nigeria too.
Waliday? Yeah? No.
Good. Walidaya.
Walidaya. Walidaya.
Walidaya.
Walidaya. من نيجيريا أيضا.
Good. Walidaya min Nigeria Aidan. Good. Right. We're running out of time quite quickly, so I'm going to move on to breakout room number 7. We've got Ayan, Khadija, and Shahida. Off you go.
Assalamu alaikum.
وعليكم السلام يا أختي.
Oh, is Shahida there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. صباح الخير.
صباح الخير.
صباح النور.
أنا سعيد بلقائك.
فرصة سعيدة.
ما مهنتك؟
أنا ممرضة في المستشفى قريب من ويستمنستر. وأنت يا شهيدة.
Would you say قريب here or قريبا?
قريبا.
Good, because you're using the word قريب as an adverb, saying it's so you're a nurse in the hospital, and then located close to. So can you see qariban is an adverb for an implied verb located? You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
وأنت يا شهيدة.
أنا طالبة من لندن. من لندن. I don't know if I can have a kasra on that because it's not Arabic.
Yeah, so you're right. So because it's a diptote, it's going to go up. So you say ممنوع من الصرف. So you say أنا طالبة من لندن.
من لندن.
Yeah.
Okay. أنا طالبة من لندن. What can I say? ما الجنسية يا خديجة?
What did you say?
I said ما الجنسية يا خديجة? No, that's wrong. Sorry. ما الجنسيتك?
Good. So if you're going to say jinsiyatuki, you got to take the al off at the beginning. Yeah. So you say ma jinsiyatuki.
Okay. ما جنسيتك. Oh, I have to take the alif lam off. Okay. ما جنسيتك يا خديجة?
Are you asking me what I do?
So what's your nationality?
Oh, okay. أنا how do you say British?
بريطانية.
Oh, أنا بريطانية. وأنتِ؟
أنا بريطانية أيضا ولكن أنا أصلا صومالي. I don't know how to say that in Arabic.
صومالية.
صومالية.
أنا أيضا.
وأنت يا شهيدة؟
أنا باكستانية.
Good. Let's have the tanweens on the end because it's a jumla ismiya. You say أنا باكستانية.
Okay. أنا باكستانية.
Good. And Ayan, the same for you. أنا بريطانية. You've got to say your tanween.
أنا بريطانية.
Good. Right. Shahida, do you want to carry on?
But is bal. How do I say I live?
Okay. Askunu.
Askunu
You're breaking up a bit. So hello. Hello.
In
Sorry, Shahida, I think your connection is not very good, so I can't hear you. So we didn't catch what you said. I think you're saying Askunu fi Britannia. I live in Britain. Right. Okay. I'm gonna have to call it a close today. So just please bear in mind these induction sessions are just to give you a small taster. These induction sessions are to give you a small taster of the kind of activities we're going to do in the level 4. They're not designed to give you the full content of the level 4. And also the class size in level 4 will not be this large. Yeah. So we've got a large number of students on this online platform just to give them a taster. The actual classes will not have this many students because it's just not manageable. It won't be manageable to deliver the quality that we do deliver in level 4 with this many students. All right. Okay. So I think that brings us to the end of today's session. You will get an email with a questionnaire asking you about your Arabic learning needs so that we can best serve those needs. And we'll also give you some instructions in the email about your homework for next week. All right. So if none of you have any burning questions that you need answering right now, for which I'll give you about a minute.
In
Anybody
this
wants
one,
to unmute?
Ustad,
No.
what is the homework? Did you say? Could you repeat it, please?
Yeah. Okay. So the homework is to there's a dua that we need to learn. Yeah. On the in the material there's a dua. Then there's an Arabic poem which is going to learn the first 3 lines of the poem. And I told you that if you Google وَوَقَفْتُ عَلَى الْأَعْتَابِ, you could copy and paste وَوَقَفْتُ عَلَى الْأَعْتَابِ, that's one of the lines, into YouTube. You'll get some YouTube clips where people are singing the actual poem, so you can listen to it.
Okay.
And you're going to work on a dialogue, or be prepared to do a freestyle dialogue based on the stuff we did today. But I want you to start making it a bit more interesting. You don't just say أنا سعيد بلقائك فرصة سعيدة السلام عليكم إلى اللقاء في أمان الله خلاص. Right? That's not very interesting. So I'd like you to use the new material about the jinsiyah, for example, but bring in stuff that you knew from before. So an interesting twist to this, you could say أنا بريطاني جنسية. I am British in nationality. You could use the word jinsiyah as an adverb. You say, I'm British. British in what way? In terms of nationality. أنا بريطاني جنسية. That's what I would say. A lady would say, أنا بريطانية جنسية. So that's the other thing we do in level 4 and 5. We ramify the matrices and make them a bit more interesting as well, by showing you how you can use the same words as a khabar, as a predicate of a sentence, but also as an adverb. All right? Is that clear? So I want you to do a dialogue similar to what we did today, but a bit more interesting in next week's lesson. And the other thing is, we've got some unvowelled reading. I want you to prepare to read the unvowelled reading in class. So I'll pick students out and get them to read a couple of lines or 3 lines of the unvowelled reading to me in class without vowels. So what you do is you look at the version with vowels and you familiarize yourself, and then you look at the version without vowels and see if you can put the vowels in as you read along. And if you can't, look back at the vowel version and see what the vowel should have been to help you remember what the rules are. All right? That starts you off on unvowelled reading. And it's a really simple unvowelled text, so it shouldn't be too hard. But it just starts to sort of, a bit like sort of swimming in the sea with armbands before you take the armbands off. All right? All right. جزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام.